Hello everybody, CritCrab here with another story, and this one is about a group that just wanted to play D&D, but of course, this wouldn't be a horror story without an entitled dipweed with anger issues there to ruin it for everyone. Roll post. This happened last week and I'm still kind of shook. I was 3 sessions into a Pathfinder AP with a new online group. One of the other players, who I'll call Rage Issues for reasons that will become apparent, was also playing in another game with the same DM. He was friendly at first. Almost too friendly, actually. He kept asking me what I was up to and trying to get me to join voice chats between sessions, which irritated me because he didn't seem to do that with the male members of the group. But it wasn't a huge deal. It did mean that what happened later came out of nowhere. He was mostly okay during the first sessions, although, in retrospect, there were warning signs that he might be a problem player. For example, the player's guide for the AP stated that we should make characters who could agree to swear fealty to a particular god. When we got to that part, Rage Issues announced that his character couldn't swear fealty because he worshipped some other god. He ended up holding up the game for like half an hour to debate this with the NPC quest giver, and the DM had to wing an implausible compromise for him so we could move on. He also had a tendency to pick fights with the DM over minor stuff, but at this point it still seemed harmless. Last week we were down 2 players. One had quit and the other couldn't make it, so we were having a hard time in combat. Rage Issues made it worse by aggroing some hard-hitting enemies and then refusing to help fight them. As in, he straight up left the room and passed all his turns while the remaining 2 of us tried to fend them off. He was playing a caster and was out of spells, so it wasn't like anyone expected him to contribute substantially, but he had neglected to even buy a weapon as a backup, and he refused to accept one of our spares because I won't be able to hit anything. The DM was arguing with him about this, saying that he should take a spare weapon so he could at least participate. Now, this part is my bad. I read the interaction as low-key bickering and missed the cues that Rage Issues was actually getting angry. I was also frustrated that we were getting our butts kicked while he sat in the other room complaining that he couldn't do anything as a result of his own build and equipment choices. So I said, maybe you shouldn't have aggroed them if you weren't going to help fight them. Rage Issues lost it. He started full-on shouting at us. Stop telling him how to play his character. From now on, nobody will ever tell anyone how to play their character. If anyone breaks that rule, he will make sure that for the rest of the game he constantly tells them how to play their character. Everyone muted him. The DM gave him a minute to cool off and then said we should unmute him. We did, which alerted him that he'd been muted in the first place. The revelation that we had elected to not sit there listening to him berate us sent Rage Issues into a white-hot fury. He then left the voice chat and started messaging us, opening with, "When you unmute me and take what is said properly, then I'll return. Otherwise, frick off." And concluding, ironically, with, "Can't handle criticism of your words and action, then don't do them." I've had some bad experiences with groups where people scream insults at each other, so my patience with that is absolutely gone. All I could think was, oh no, you mean if we don't validate your tantrum, you'll leave and we won't have to listen to you scream anymore? I replied, this may have been ruder than was strictly necessary, that I wasn't going to humor childish threats, and if he couldn't be civil, then I didn't want to hear it. He rejoined the voice chat. The last thing I heard before I muted him for good was, "Oh, listen here, you little c-" It took a minute for that one to sink in. Once it did, that was it for me, the other player, and the absent player when he heard about it. You can't come back from that. We wanted him gone. I'm told that Rage Issues spent the last few minutes of Session A berating the DM for not making me unmute him, and B, threatening to get revenge on me through PvP. The DM removed him from the game, both for being an asshole and because the rest of us were ready to walk if he stayed. Days later, Rage Issues still felt so entitled to have me sit there listening to him shout slurs at me and was so furious that the DM hadn't forced me to do so, that he also dropped out of his other game with that DM. Like I said, I'm still kind of shook, but I'm glad he showed his true colors early on instead of halfway through the AP. And I'm glad the rest of the group had my back and didn't make excuses for him. End post. After reading about this guy, I really want to believe he's just an immature hatchling, but deep down I think we all know that he's old enough to know better. Really though, a lot of people need an increase in self-awareness, especially online. Hopefully this event either gave him a reality check, or, more likely, discouraged him from playing altogether. I still don't know what people think they stand to gain from being jerks in a collaborative TTRPG. Once you start alienating people and being an all-around tool bag, that's kind of it for you and the rest of the group. But maybe I'm just naive. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories just like this one. Till next time.